Hello my lovely students in 4th primary, how are you? Now, if we have a pizza and we divide it into 8 equal pieces and distribute it equally among 4 people, it means that each will take 2 pieces. كل واحد فيهم هياخد 2 pieces out of 8. Now, if you want to represent this using a fraction, it will be 2 over 8 or 2 out of 8. But the question is, السؤال اللي أنا عايزة أسأله لكم, will we be able to decompose that fraction into unit fractions? هنقدر نعمل decompose this fraction to unit fractions? That's what we will find out today in lesson 2 in unit 9 titled Break It Down. We will learn هنتعلم how to use the unit fractions to decompose fractions. Let's start with the activity fraction, charades, in Access on page 7. Let's see it all together. And here is the Access part, which is called fraction charades. Now let me tell you how I played it with my students. عايزة أقول لكم إزاي لعبتها مع students بتوعي in my class. Here I picked a group of 4 students. اخترت 4 students من عندي وسألتهم to think of a way to represent a fraction and a unit fraction. The rest of the class of course knows what a fraction is. The method they chose was by jumping in the air. As you can see in front of us, one student jumped in the air and that represents a unit fraction. ده بيمثل unit fraction, which is 1 over 4. Okay, 1 over 4. One student jumped up, يبقى 1 over 4. In the second picture, we have the same group of students. Second picture, here we have نفس ال 4 students اللي أنا اخترتهم. Can you identify the fraction they represent? Yes, look. Exactly, the fraction they represent is 2 out of 4. Yes, here I will write 2 out of 4. Why? Because now 2 students jumped in the air. So, what do you think? It is a very good game, right? I know. Okay, now you can play this game with your friends in your classroom, and I am sure you can come up with very interesting ways to express the fraction you want to represent. In that way, we remember the unit fraction. خلاص احنا عرفنا ال unit fraction, and which is denominator بتاعها لازم يكون 1. Now we used it in the last lesson to compose fractions. So if we use 2 of the unit fraction اللي هي 1 plus 3 or 1/3 and add them together, okay, like this. Okay, يعني لو عملت 1 over 3 plus 1 over 3, the new fraction will be what? Yes, it will be 2 over 3 أو 2/3. Today we will also use the unit fractions, but this time المرة دي in decomposing fractions. هستخدمها عشان أعمل decomposing fractions. This is what we will learn in the activity. Decompose it in build on page 7 as you will see now. Okay, here is page 7 as you see. Now, first let's think about the meaning of decomposition. يعني إيه أصلاً كلمة decomposition دي? Before we use it in decomposing fractions. The meaning of the term decompose يعني إيه decompose؟ Decompose يعني بعمل break down something into smaller parts أو break it down to its basic elements. Okay, يبقى عندي fraction كبير بقسمه ل fractions أصغر. Just like we used to decompose numbers according to their place value. زي ما كنت بعمل decomposing للnumbers تبع ال place value بتاعها. For example, تعالوا نشوف example. If I asked you to decompose, لو عايزاك تعمل decompose للنمبر 573 هتعمله ازاي؟ Yes, هتعمله decomposing into 500, 7 tenths and 3 ones. 573 هتقول 500, 7 tenths and 3 ones. طيب حد تاني ممكن يعمله decomposition into 500 and 73 ones. What happened in both cases is what we broke down the number into smaller parts. That's exactly what happens in the fraction. We break down them into smaller fractions or unit fractions. That's what the picture of the carpenter explains. هو ده اللي بيشرحه الكاربنتر in our book. الكاربنتر هنا نجار بيعمل ايه؟ He has a whole desk that represents a whole number. When he cuts it and breaks it down, لما قعد يقسمه كده into 8 parts, the value of each piece لقينا إن ال value بتاع كل piece كان كام؟ Yes, كان 1 over 8 أو 1/8. Just like we have understood the meaning of decomposing fractions or the whole, which is breaking them down into unit fractions. That is considered, ده بنعتبره the same answer to the question that we asked at the start about the pizza. Where we were asked كان مطلوب مننا to break down 2 over 8 of it into unit fractions. كمان اتعلمنا how to compose fractions in the last lesson. And you can write, yes, you can write in your own way the definition of decomposing fractions in the answer to the first problem in your book on page 1, which is this problem. Now I'll give you some time to answer the second and third problems on the same page, and you are asked to decompose the existing fractions into the unit fractions that they represent. When we are done, you will review the answers all together. And now, after you have finished answering the two problems, تعالوا بقى let's review the answers all together. In the second problem, as you see here, we have a drawn wood desk that is divided into what? Yes, it is divided into 6 parts like you see. طيب مطلوب مننا ايه؟ مطلوب مننا to decompose the whole into unit fractions. هقسم الهول ده لunit fractions. طيب هما كام parts؟ هما 6 parts. Denominator here is what? Denominator is the whole number أو the whole parts. يبقى الدينومينيتور بتاعي 6. So the unit fraction is 1 over 6 أو 1/6. The answer is 1 whole equals what? هعمل 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6. مش هما 6 parts؟ Okay, so the unit fraction is 1 and the numerator and the number of the parts in the denominator is 6. Okay, يبقى numerator 1 and the denominator is 6. تعالوا نشوف بقى the number 3. Here he want me to write equation decomposing 3 over 5 into unit fractions. عايز أعمل decomposing ل 3 over 5 عن طريق أو using unit fractions. طيب هعمل إيه؟ It represents, yes, 3 over 5 يعني هعملها ايه؟ الايكويشن represents 3 over 5. 3 over 5 means that we have 3 parts of unit fraction which is 1 over 5 أو 1/5. اوكي؟ يبقى عشان to compose 3 over 5 محتاجة ان انا اعمل 1 over 5 plus 1 over 5 plus 1 over 5. And by answering the previous problems, let's note the similarities. تعالوا بقى نلاحظ ايه similarities والdifferences، الحاجات اللي زي بعض والحاجات اللي مختلفة between decomposing and composing fractions. When composing fractions we add، في composing fraction بعمل ايه؟ Yes، بعمل add the smaller fractions زي unit fractions to get a larger fraction. ده اللي بيحصل في composing. طيب ايه اللي بيحصل في decomposing fractions؟ بيحصل break down the larger fraction into smaller fractions like برضو the unit fractions. I am sure you noticed، أنا متأكدة إن أنتوا لاحظتوا that similar between composing و decomposing. الحاجة المشتركة في composing و decomposing إن الاتنين عندهم smaller fractions زي unit fraction. That we add، بنعمل addition when composing وبنعمل break down when decomposing. طيب ايه بقى الحاجة المختلفة between composing و decomposing؟ الحاجة المختلفة that we add together when composing and we break down when we make decomposing. Okay? And now when I handed out to a group of students some fractions to decompose into unit fractions, I gave them the fraction of 3/4. One of the students decomposed it into 2/4 plus 1/4. هنشوف كده مع بعض. 3/4. One of them composed it into 2/4 plus 1/4. The decomposition here is correct. طيب بس في small mistake هنا. إن إيه؟ إن ال first fraction which is 2/4 is a fraction. هي fraction but it is not a unit fraction. That means ده معناه إيه؟ ده معناه إن ال fraction دي can be decomposed into 1/4 plus 1/4 like this. أنا ممكن أعمل لها decompose 1/4 plus 1/4. However, 1/4 is a unit fraction. احنا خلاص عارفين ان 1/4 ده اسمه unit fraction that cannot be decomposed anymore. So when decomposing 3/4 into unit fractions, it will look like this: 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. تعالوا بقى نطبق what we have learned about decomposing fractions into unit fractions while playing together domino. Let's play the domino all together. Now we have 5 dominoes. Here I have 5 dominoes cards. Okay, we are placing them face down زي ما احنا شايفينهم كده and shuffling. I will pick one domino and take a look at the number on it. وبعدين هكتب النمبر ده as a fraction. هكتب the smaller number up and the bigger number down or as the denominator. Okay. طيب here I will choose 1. Look, it is 4 and 5. Okay. So here is the fraction. I will write in the first column the fraction. Okay, and in the second column I will write or I will decompose the fraction into its unit fractions here in the second column, and then I will represent the fraction in the model drawn in the third column. Okay, we will apply it together with the first domino we have. Here, as you see the domino, I have 2 numbers, 4 and 5, right? So I will write 4 in the numerator. اتفقنا ان number up هيبقى the smaller number which is 4. يبقى هكتب 4 here. وهكتب down او عند the denominator I will write 5 the bigger number. يبقى الفراكشن بتاعي 4/5. Okay. طيب and this is the first column. Let's decompose this number in the second column using unit fraction. لازم لما اعمل decompose استخدم unit fraction. طيب هعملها ازاي؟ 4/5 هعملها decompose using the unit fraction، يعني هعمل 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5. كتبت 1/5 4 times. Then we will draw a model that expresses the fraction in the drawn model in the third column. في third column ده أنا عايزة أعمل model عشان to represent this fraction اللي هو 4/5. يعني أنا عندي 5 parts. Okay, I will draw it like this: 1 2 3 4 and 5. ولازم ال parts يبقوا equal parts. I will divide the circle into 5 equal parts as you see here, and I will shade only 4 parts. يبقى I will shade 1 2 3 and 4 عشان الفراكشن بتاعي 4/5. Okay. طيب تعالوا نرسم another domino. Let's draw another one. Okay. Now I will draw this time another one which is this card. Let's see. Yes, this domino is 2 and 3. يبقى I will write 2 up and I will write 3 down. My numerator is 2, my denominator is 3. تعالوا بقى نعمل decomposing ل 2/3. هتبقى 1/3 plus 1/3 gives me 2/3. طيب دلوقتي أنا عايزة أعملها as a model. عايزة أرسم model to represent 2/3. هعمل إيه؟ هقسم الموديل ده into 3 parts لأن كل البارتس بتوعي 3. يبقى 1 2 3 and I will shade or color only 2 parts. يبقى this is the first colored part and this is the second colored part. Okay. And now, is it a good game to play alone? Yes, I know it's very interesting game. You can play it alone or you can play it with your friends in your classroom. And at the end of this game, you are asked to identify. مطلوب منك ان انت تحدد the largest fraction and place a star next to it. Okay, and write the reason why you think it's the largest. Now you can help Mazen in the activity Food Fraction Fun in Connect on page 8. تعالوا نشوف كده. Here is the Connect board. Let's help Mazen بقى. Now Mazen needs 3/4 of a cup of sugar for his recipe. ماشي، هو محتاج 3/4 cup of sugar. Okay, طيب he needs to know how many times. ومازن معاه cup على فكرة، بس الكاب بتاعته holds only 1/4 من الشوجر. طيب هو عايز يعرف دلوقتي هو محتاج how many times to fill his cup to complete the recipe. اوكي، الكاب بتاعته holds only 1/4 أو quarter، وهو عايز يستخدم 3 quarters. محتاج يملاها كم مرة؟ I will give you some time to think of the answer to this problem using the decomposition we have learned. I want you to draw a model for it and write an equation using unit fractions to explain your answer. And once you have finished, we will review the answers all together. And now after you have finished, let's review the answers all together. Now we will decompose the 3/4 أو 3/4 Mazen needs into unit fraction. عايز أعمل compose ل 3/4 لunit fractions, which are 1/4. So the equation will look like what? هي 3/4 equals what? 3/4 لما أحتاج أعمل لها compose هتبقى 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. Right? So Mazen needs to fill his cup how many times? He needs to fill his cup 3 times. Okay, now you can now head to the practice part found in the digital version by scanning the code shown on the screen, and you can solve the first 3 problems in which you are asked to مطلوب منك to decompose the written fraction into unit fractions like you have learned in the lesson. We will solve together problem number 4 and 5. Okay, now let's see problem number 4 first. Here in problem number 4, Maisa bought 4 pizzas for a sleepover party. اشترت 4 pizza عشان sleepover party. She divided each pizza into 8. قسمت كل بيتزا ل 8 slices. After everyone ate, بعد ما كلهم أكلوا, there was 1 piece left in each pizza. كل بيتزا اتبقى فيها 1 piece only. We are asked to identify which existing model shows the sum of the unit fractions for the remaining pizza أو for the remaining pieces of pizza. طيب البيتزا could be divided into 8 parts. صح؟ مش كل بيتزا قسمناها ل 8 parts. ده معناه إيه؟ ده معناه إن كل بيتزا has 8 eighths. Right? And what's left of each pizza is 1 piece in each one, which is represented by 1/8. Okay? طيب يبقى what's left is what؟ هعمل 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 equals to 4/8. Okay, so the remaining slices of the pizza are what? Are 4/8 like you see here. Which drawn shape here represent 4/8? أنه واحد represent 4/8? Look here. Yes, I see that letter D is the correct answer. Why? Because it have all the parts are 8 and the colored or the shaded parts are only 4, so the fraction is 4/8. This is the right answer. And now let's move to problem number 5. Problem number 5 here, we have a drawn rectangle. عندي rectangle مرسوم represents one hole. Okay, احنا شايفين ان كل parts are colored يبقى one hole, and it is divided into 3 parts. طيب مطلوب مننا to decompose it into units fraction. We will decompose it into what? Yes, I will decompose it into 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3. Right? That being so, we have learned the unit fractions and how to decompose fractions into their unit fractions. And now you can check your understanding of the lesson by scanning the code shown on the screen. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson so much, and I hope you understand it very well. Thank you so much for your watching, and see you next lesson.